I've chosen my questions for this video. The first question I've chosen is what are your main takeaways from SRL 150B? So I've had multiple takeaways from this class, and one of my biggest ones has been realizing how deeply sport, leisure, consumer culture, how they're connected to like larger social structures. Before this class, I mostly saw sports as like an entertainment, something definitely separate from like economics or politics. But now I understand that every aspect of it, like stadium construction and athlete branding, it's just shaped by like corporate power or like public policy. Another one of my major takeaways is that the idea of leisure is actually a right and not just some free time you have. The course has helped me see leisure that is something shaped, leisure as something shaped by like privilege, and like the access to like public spaces, and it's not just like a personal choice of having free time, if that makes sense. I've also learned how consumer culture has been engineered to normalize overconsumption, like especially through branding and advertising in sports. Like overall, this class has just like helped me connect everything to like my daily habits, like what I watch, where I go, what I buy, to a larger system that influences behavior and values in ways that I didn't recognize before. So for my next question, it's how do you think issues of inequality and social justice uh, differently than at the start of the semester? And at the start of the semester, I knew inequality existed, but it's just I didn't connect it in ways like directly to like recreation or sport. Um, and now that I see that like inequality just shows up in everything, and it's just from like the most simplest things, like for like in context with this class, like people who have like access to safe parks and public recreation centers, or like someone who can afford youth sports. um yeah, and like if athletes can like have political views without having backlash, um it's just all part of inequality, I'd say. And the course readings and the home films have made me more aware of like how corporations like extract value, I would say, from like marginalized communities, and they barely give anything back to it. And it's just also like public recreation unit, like the uh, what I meant by that was like the unit about public recreation. It's just showed how low income neighborhoods, like they often lack the quality of the recreation space, or if not the recreation space itself, and that just leads to like health, safety, and overall well-being, I'd say. I also see differently how athletes are like, instead of like assuming that they should be neutral, I now understands why like they use their platforms to like highlight racism and like lobby some really deep issues, like labor issues in some of these big corporations, and like exploitations that these corporations do. And this class has just like made me so much more aware of how inequality is like built into our environments, and like just how to spot major inequalities, I'd say. For my last question, I've had how has your awareness and values surrounding leisure time and activities been shaped by this course? And I honestly think this is like a really interesting question, because it's definitely changed the way I think about my free time. And so it's just like this one like hit the most, I'd say. uh so like I used to treat leisure as like something like I had to earn, if that makes sense. Like I had to do something really productive. I had to make some big and major productivity boosts in my like workspace or like my school space to for me to like earn leisure. And it's just I just understand leisure as something that like reflects my values and the systems around me now. And this class has just like made me so much more conscious of how leisure is like influenced by like consumer culture, like streaming services and like advertisements, fashion and social media trends. And I think more critically of like the choices I make, like is am I just wasting time, or does this actually gives me joy, did I just see this in like an advertisement? So all of that stuff. It's also like made me more aware that like not everyone has equal access to leisure, which I think is really important, because not everyone has like safe neighborhoods or like flexible work schedules, especially to like seize their leisure times more effectively, I'd say. um, and this realization has like made me value my own leisure time a lot more. And it's just, I think it's a really important part of this whole unit when we did it. So overall, it's just like it's not just like changed how I see leisure, it's also changed how I like approach it. I try and be more reflective about how I spend my leisure time, and like obviously following leisure times, I like try and spend it more in. I try and be more intentional in the way I spend it, and more appreciative, definitely, for the time I've spent. And yep, that'll be all the questions I had for this video. Yep, thank you.